What is up, guys? I am yours truly, Carnage, coming to you with another Mind of Carnage podcast, episode number 26, first for everything. Now, if you guys are catching me, let me just adjust this camera a little bit. If you guys are catching me right now on YouTube, you will notice that I have a brand new YouTube channel, and frankly, it is great because I've decided to split everything, split my gaming, split my wrestling, because that's what makes sense and is best for business. If you guys are checking this out, just make sure to find me at Mind of one word Carnage on YouTube, and you'll find me there. And everything to do with my MOCPodcast, Mind of Carnage, anything to do with wrestling, will go directly on this account. So make sure to follow this one, like, subscribe, show it to everyone, show it to your lover, show it to your family, maybe even your animals. Maybe they're like, "What the fuck is this guy?" I'm gonna hiss at him because I know my cats do that sometimes. But welcome to the first episode. Kind of consider this a new season if you want to, but it won't be a good season. But no, remember to check out the LW family, also Levels of Wrestling. We are on Podbean. Make sure to check us out there. You can search not only myself, Mind of Carnage, but you will also find Levels of Wrestling themselves. Just Saying podcast, rambling about wrestling, and you guys can find the Wrestle Addicts on there too. All of us here giving you our thoughts, our ideas behind the wrestling industry and the wrestling world. I'm having a hard time thinking right now. I for some reason got home from work and I'm just freaking exhausted. I'm exhausted right now. I don't know why. And this is going to be an interesting show considering I don't think I don't think my synapses are firing as they would. So I'm very slow right now. Remember to check us out on the Play Store also. Play Store also for the Android device. You will find a Levels of Wrestling app on there for completely free. And we haven't gone to Apple just yet, but we will soon. So stay tuned for that. And also make sure to check us out on tpublic.com /user /Carnage for my shirts, Levels of Wrestling for the Levels of Wrestling shirts, and Wrestle Addict or the Wrestle Addict for their shirts. And great designs, great shirts. Feel free to buy them, Support the team, support Levels of Wrestling, support Mind of Carnage, Wrestle Addict, support what we can to give you guys the quality shows that we give you. And I can't really call my show quality because frankly, it's not quality. It's just, it's me. So you're going to take it as it is because frankly, I don't give a crap. But this week's been interesting. This week has been very. You started off the week, and you're taking your vitamin C and your prayers, and all of a sudden, by the end of the week, you're like, "Who the hell is Hulk Hogan?" No one knows him. No one knows him at all because WWE has decided to disown Hogan like a black sheep of the family. They took him out of the will. They took him out of everything. No videos, no matches, no nothing. And now all of a sudden, there's talk of even letting him go from the Hall of Fame, and you're really going to consider taking Hogan out of the Hall of Fame? Because guess what? WWE is considering taking him out completely out because they don't want anything to do with Hogan. If you guys haven't heard, that means you live under a rock. But for the wrestling fans or the avid wrestling fans that know about what's going on, Hogan is part of a sex tape, which just alone is wrong. Just with Hogan, that's already wrong. But in that sex tape, there was apparently, while still recording, some bedroom talk, and the bedroom talk pretty much equated to Hogan using a lot of racial slurs about his daughter, Brooke Hogan, and who she was going out with at the time. And yeah, it's been downhill from there. The lawsuit between him and Gawker pretty much allows the information to be released. And considering Hogan's such a big guy, he's a very well-known athlete, well-known talent, and all of a sudden he's using these words and everyone flips the fuck out. And it's understandable, but you also got to take into a fact that this isn't like his own. I can't even take into fact that it's his personal home. He's recording it, so frankly, he knows he's recording and he's saying. So I'm not going to go any further with that, but that's Hogan for you. That's Hogan. And not really Hogan because Hogan is no more. There's no eating your vitamins, saying your prayers, because frankly, you don't need to anymore. He's not there to tell you to do it. Do whatever the fuck you want. Throw those vitamins at cats. Doesn't matter. You say your prayers, maybe not to the higher power, maybe to yourself. Pray to yourself. Pray to yourself. Be the god that you want to be. But yeah, so it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with them. Even TNA has gone out saying that they've started getting rid of some of their stuff on their databases. So it's kind of interesting to see just kind of how everyone follows in suit. And that's funny how TNA follows in suit because it's like, okay, well, if they kept the Hulk Hogan information and WWE got rid of the Hulk Hogan information, how would it look on TNA if they kept it? So I can understand them kind of just like following the big dog and being like, yeah, we're going to get rid of it too, but we're going to keep it on the side because we're TNA and we kind of need it. But it's TNA, so I'm not surprised. They usually follow everything WWE does anyways. You remember when Daniel Bryan got big? Oh, look, Eric Young now got a beard and he got big. But to be fair, Eric Young's pretty good too, so I don't mind him. But they decided to follow WWE and they got rid of all the stuff there. But it's funny, now there's actually reports coming out saying that Hogan has some anti-gay remarks on there too. And it's just, you kind of look at it and you're like, you're digging the hole, buddy. You're going even further. I don't even know how far you can go now. But it's gonna be interesting to see if he, one, wins the lawsuit against Gawker, or two, he actually does come back to WWE, if at all. I no clue. Specifically now that even WWE Studios is taking him off of projects that he was already a part of and have already filmed by apparently okay, that's quality right there. But yeah, so a lot of things coming out of this week when it comes to Hogan. We're not really unsure about where he's going to go, what he's going to do. I guarantee he's going to be in a lot of talk shows to pretty much discuss his story and his side of the story. But when it comes to WWE and Hogan, it's kind of not looking so good. And in a way, I don't blame him. You know, they're an international company. You have to know what you do with the content that you are putting your logo on. Hogan is their logo. Hogan is part of Tough Enough, you know, all that stuff. And now all of a sudden he says all this stuff. They want to relate that back to the show. So I can understand from their point of view, but then again, it's a big loss for them too, to be honest. But when it comes to Tough Enough, you know, there's word now saying Jericho is going to be replacing Hogan, or they're looking at other legends to replace Hogan. No final word as of that yet. From my understanding, Jericho may be the big concept to replace Hogan, and then Renee replaced Jericho, which is a big step for her also. But time will tell with that, and we'll find out later on. But let's go to the main. I'm like burping my ass off. I don't know why. Let's go to the main show. Obviously, Raw was on last night. It's a decent show, not the best show. I'll put that out there. But you know, one of the interesting parts that came from the show. Okay, so the Steve Austin podcast is coming back next week following Raw, which I believe is August 3rd, and his guest is Paige. Now, initially, you look at that and you're like, okay, well, I don't know how controversial Paige is going to be. I don't know what she'll know that will really elevate the Austin podcast, you know, because usually with the Austin podcast, you're assuming you have Heyman, you had Vince McMahon, you had Triple H, you know, those are big, well-known guys that has crazy stories behind them. And then all of a sudden you bring in Paige and you're like, what exactly is she going to say? But I mean, you think about it a little bit more. You're like, okay, well, you know what? She can talk about her age. You can talk about how she got into wrestling, how she got where she is right now. In addition to that, you can say, okay, well, what about her gimmick? You know, there was a big change from when she first came in the scene being the anti-diva, and now she's on Total Divas and stuff like that. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then again, they can also talk about the Diva Revolution, which has now gotten Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch to the main roster. You know, her being centralized and all that will help, and it'll give her something to talk about that's that the audience may find somewhat interesting. Though I am an avid follower, so I will watch anyways, because anything Steve Austin does for WWE, I will watch, because frankly, that guy is what got me into wrestling in the first place. But it'll be an interesting show. You know, Austin Podcast is back. There was always a rumor that said that Undertaker and Sting was going to be on the Austin Podcast. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but that will happen. I guarantee that will. Whether it'll be before SummerSlam, not really sure, because I don't know if this is actually the one thing that they're going to do with Paige, and then they're not going to have another one until after SummerSlam, but only time will tell with that. But as for right now, it's Paige. So get used to it. Calm down. That's all I can say. But last night was a first for everything. Just how my channel right now, this is the first video going on the Mind of Carnage YouTube channel. It's a first for everything. I've never had Coke during my podcast. It's a first for everything. And I don't even drink a lot of soft drinks. I'm a mostly water drinker, but because I'm exhausted, I need the caffeine. This is a first for everything. And if you're not watching the video, I just took a sip of my Coke. If you guys are listening to this on audio, remember, like I said, you can also follow on Podbean at Levels of Wrestling, and you can also find my audio on www.MindofCarnage.com, where you can find your wrestling news, recaps, information, everything latest in there. But feel free to follow all of us on Twitter. I'll give you guys the handles, or if I don't have the handles written down, which I don't think I do, and apparently I don't, I will post a link at the bottom, which I think we'll have to follow up after the podcast, because I don't think I have a link at the bottom right now. Let's move on. But yeah, so last night we had the first of everything, obviously Dean and Big Show. Dean Ambrose versus Big Show, which was as exciting as you could expect. You know, the one thing about the match that I think would drive any and every woman crazy that are big, avid Dean Ambrose followers is that he was wrestling shirtless, which is not very common for the guy. So obviously every woman was like, oh my God, I need to get everything about this man. And you know what? That's fine. That's you guys like him. That's totally your call. If you feel that Ambrose is the star to your galactic story, I'm starting to like sound like Stardust here. I don't know why. That's fine. You know what? He came out. He delivered a match. Obviously, Big Show was pretty much dominant throughout the match, but nonetheless, the match ended with Big Show going to the timekeeper's area and laying there, thinking about better times. We're thinking about his monster truck that he drove off the building when he was against Hulk Hogan, or not Hulk Hogan, because he's not around anymore. No. So Andre the Giant just pretty much backed up his monster truck off the building by himself. No Hulk Hogan. There is no Hulk Hogan in life anymore. You know, I love all these memes that are coming out too, where like there's one with Andre the Giant at WrestleMania where he got scoop signed by Hulk Hogan, and how the meme has no Hulk Hogan on there, and then just a note saying, "Oh, that awkward moment when Andre the Giant flipped or fell and tripped and fell on the mat." It's like, I have one that I haven't seen yet. Was The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania? I think it was 18 when it was in Toronto. I'm not really sure about that number, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, one meme I want on there. It's like, oh, that one time where Rock got a crazy ovation for having a match with himself. Because I think it would be funny. I think it'd be funny. Please laugh at my joke. But it's interesting to see just everyone just completely deleting Hogan off everything. I find it just amazing. As I talked about earlier, I find it just absolutely crazy to see how far people have gone to be like, we don't know this man. We do not know this man. And I love it, all the support that comes out for Hogan being like, oh, he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. He never said anything racist or anything like that. But then you kind of think about it and you're like, yeah, it's true. He may have not said anything that was racist. He may not have identified himself as racist when he was with friends, because why would he? If you're a big iconic figure that a lot of people know you, and a lot of people always relate, okay, Hogan is wrestling. That's how it is. That's how he went into that direction where you mention Hogan, you automatically know it has to do with wrestling. WWF at the time, he was just Hulkamania, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. And now all of a sudden, you know, when people are coming out saying, oh, he never said anything, or he's not a racist, he never proved that he was racist. Well, of course he didn't prove that. He's not going to just come out and hang with friends and say, hey, you know, end this and end that and da-da-da, and I'm a racist. You know, I don't think a lot of people will hang out with people and just randomly say that when they're out in public. So, of course, you're not going to say, oh, this man doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Well, yeah, because he never really displayed it when he was around you. This was closed doors, bed talk. And, so he pretty much let everything out. So you may say that he's not a racist, but even Hogan in the video admitted he's a racist. I don't know what you could say there. I can't, you know, if I had a friend that said, oh, you know, I'm a racist on a video, and I'm not going to come out and say, oh, he's not a racist. You never said anything racist. I'm like, okay, well, dude, you said it. Like, you're a racist now? I can't say no to that. That's your own thing. That's, you want to be, that's, you know, I don't condone it, but it's the way you want to go. And the way that WWE seems to be going now with Neville and Stardust, it appears that they are doing kind of a comic book style good guy versus bad guy thing. And it got me thinking, if you're starting to do a comic book style storyline or feud, doesn't it make sense to have Stephen Amell, Arrow, come into this feud? Marvel or DC, whatever, I don't even fucking know. I've never followed Arrow in my life, so I have no idea where the hell he's from. So please don't be upset if I don't know. Okay, just relax. Just like pinch a tit and relax. Okay, you don't need to go crazy. All right, drink some milk. Maybe that'll help. So in my head, I'm like, you know, if they are doing that type of storyline, it makes sense why he would get involved somehow with Neville, siding with Neville to take out Stardust. You know, that's the only thing that really makes sense to me if they're really trying to focus on this comic book style of feud. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. Though I will mention something. Stardust last night had a great promo. I love this promo. And the thing that I love most about it was the fact that he even used Dine and Wine with Kings and Queens, pretty much what his father, Dusty Rhodes, Terry Runnels, said a long time ago during one of his promos. So I found that really, really cool. That's exactly why I'm daunting the Stardust. Where am I pointing? The Stardust icon right there, just because I was like, dude, that impressed me. I like that. That was a highlight of my night. And it's kind of sad considering that's one of the highlights of the night that I found, at least. Or, yeah, no, that I found at least. Fuck it. I'm just one of my highlights. Fuck off. Fuck off. Just tell you how bad Raw was. Fuck off. But that was really interesting. Like I said, so with this whole storyline thing, does Stephen Amell get involved? But does some super villain get involved too to be on the side of Stardust? Or if we go into SummerSlam, will they have a tag match? So does Stardust have to get like some other type of super villain actor to come in and be on his team? Or is it pretty much just going to be Stardust versus Neville with Stephen Amell on Neville's side? Because he's Arrow, comes out dressed as Arrow, and oh my god, all of a sudden now we have Neville and Arrow, two good guys, comic good guys, if they want to do it that way. But I don't know. I don't know where that story's going. Though, like I said, with Stardust, if they're going to use him to do his promos the way he's been doing his promos, very similar to Bray Wyatt. Keep him short, sporadic. You don't have to have him every single week, but keep him short, making us want more. Because I find that Cody Rhodes, Stardust, has actually done a pretty good job in his promos. He's been able to deliver a message. He's been able to actually deliver that message very clear in a very creative manner. His the way that he looks, the way that his facial expressions go, it works because that's what draws us in. A lot of times when you want to do public speaking, when you want to talk to people, it's not always what you say, it's the way that you show it with your facial expressions. If you're very proud, if you stand tall, shoulders back, and you say in a loud voice what you want to say, and you display and you're very charismatic, it doesn't necessarily always matter what you say. It's the way that you're delivering it. And people can look at sometimes and be like, wow, this guy really delivers a message easily. But then when you ask him what was the message, you're like, it doesn't matter. Did you see him? He was amazing. It doesn't matter what he said. I will listen to what this man says. It's because of the way that you display it. Very similar to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, if you look at him, he's paces back and forth. His facial expression always changes. He's never really consistent with one face. And the way that he speaks, he has different tone levels in his voice, and it just draws you in. It makes you want more. Doesn't necessarily mean we don't know what the hell he's saying. And it's true. You look at his promos, and you're like, no wonder your promos are always cryptic, because your messages are always so fucking confusing. We don't know what the hell you're saying. We just want to look at you and look at what you're doing. And it works. It works. Bray Wyatt is considered one of the greatest promo guys in the industry today. Okay, whatever. I'm saying he's considered one of the greatest promo guys in the industry today because he is. You can't deny that. The guy goes in the ring, gets a mic. You want to listen, but I'll get into that later. But Stardust and Neville. So honestly, for me, it shouts comic book. Amel's somehow going to get involved. Apparently, he canceled one of his appearances during SummerSlam weekend anyway, so obviously something is happening there. So then you question, will Stardust get some magical person to come with him? Will he get some magical person to be on his side now? We don't know. We don't know, and time will tell to see where this goes. But obviously, they are building to something at SummerSlam, and they're building it as a comic book reference. And frankly, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. At least this is a good way to actually get Neville starting in his first feud in the main roster, because he never really had a real true first feud. This is considered one of the first. So, first for everything. What happened? Oh, yeah, so we also had Sasha Banks versus Paige, which was actually a pretty good deliverable match. Those guys did a great job, and it really showcased Paige as being one of those divas that when she was in NXT could deliver a great match. When she came to main roster, she didn't, because they really screwed up her image. They took her from being this anti-diva, as I mentioned earlier, and they changed her into this, I'm not going to say bimbo, but just somebody who goes out in the ring and doesn't really put on the best show. But it depends on who you're competing against, because you can only put on a great match based on how your opponent is able to take those moves, how able is to sell how strong you are or whatever you're doing. So, I never really thought she had talent there worthy enough to sell what she was able to do. But her versus Sasha Banks was a great match. I'm going to put it right out there. It was a great match. And I agree with this whole Diva Revolution thing. And I really wish they'd stop using the word diva. I fucking hate the word. I don't like using the word. But the problem is it's been used so often, so frequently, that I just can't get it out of my mind. So whenever I try to say a woman's match, it always comes out of Diva's match. And I'm like, why? WWE, you've corrupted my mind once again. Every single fucking time I go outside, I'm like, oh, look, there's a woman. And it's like, oh, look, there's a diva. No, not a diva. Not a diva at all. Not a diva at all. Sometimes I look at my wife and I'm like, oh, hi, honey. And I'm like, hi, diva. No, not diva. Not diva. So I always have to kind of correct myself that way. But yeah, like I said, it was a great match. And the one thing I noticed about Sasha Banks, and one of the reasons why I think she'll do very well in this sport, like I've said, with Bray Wyatt, with Stardust, facial expressions count. with her, when she's in the ring and she's able to run a match, she has various amounts of facial expressions. It's the way that she sells moves. It's the way she sells aggravation. It's the way she sells annoyance at her competitor. It works. And the thing is that when it works, you put two and two together and you develop a character. Now, it also depends on how well you're able to deliver in that match. If you're able to deliver a great match back and forth with your competitor, and you're able to actually express your frustrations, your feelings, everything through your face, it's going to really help you along the way. And I think that's one of the reasons why everyone's like, oh, she's going to be the next big thing. She's going to be great. She's going to be great. There's many factors to her that I know, or that I've realized as of late, that are going to be great. And to be fair, I'm actually looking forward to see what she's able to do in that ring. She's been fighting great talent so far. Her and Charlotte had one of the best matches I've seen in NXT in a while. Any match they've been in, they've always been able to deliver. So I have no query. I have no concern of what's going to happen with the Diva division now. It just depends on how they decide to build the women, to keep their characters as is, or just kind of wither them down little by little and just making them to bimbos just like the Bellas. And I really, really hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that does not happen. Really hope. What happened next? Next. Something that I really hope would not happen, and I'm not the only one, but then again, there are a lot of people who are also against my opinion, and that's fine. Hey, listen, if you want to pin the Terminator against The Undertaker or the Terminator against Kofi Kingston, feel free. But it does not equate to me going out and buying that game before it's even sold. I'm sorry, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the new WWE 2K16 doesn't even interest me. That has no interest in me at all. I don't care that the Terminator is in a WWE ring. What moveset exactly are you going to give this guy? What, the vacant moveset? How enthralling is that exactly? What is he going to do? Rip his head off, show that he has a skeleton underneath, and bash the person's head with his skull? If that's the case, then I may consider it. But I don't think that would be the case. I don't think there'd be any case there for him, the Terminator, to show his metallic capabilities. Is he going to have a claw? Is he going to claw the guy's head and try to crush it? I don't know. There is a lot of things there that could or could not happen. But for me specifically, the only good thing that I saw from Terminator being announced on the WWE 2K16 game is the commercial itself. Because the commercial itself, which you can see on YouTube, you can see on www.mindofcarnage.com, it hit everything that I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then you find out he's in the game and you're like, why? Why is Schwarzenegger in my game? I understand he's in the Hall of Fame, or the WWE Hall of Fame. I know he's had some things in the past with WWE and everything, but I don't see him as a playable character that really drives me to want to play him. If he was a free downloadable character, great. I would download it. I will watch it. I will download it. I'll play him. But to go out and pre-buy the game for this purpose, no, thank you. No, thank you. Terminator, you can stay at home. You can stay at home and hasta la vista every single fucking rat you decide to crush with your giant metallic hands. But from right now, you ain't coming on my TV on my wrestling game, because that's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. You know what I just realized too? And I really got to look into this, is this damn camera. I find this camera is it's not smooth. It really is. There's a time delay there, and I really don't like that. It's one of those things that just angers me, but that's just me. That's just how I am. But I'll deal with you later, camera. And for those of you who are listening on audio, obviously don't see this problem and everything, so you're just listening to me, to my glorious, beautiful voice. And I feel sorry for you because you don't see the beauty that is before you. Oh man. You know what really gets me, and I don't understand where they're going with this exactly. Rusev. When Rusev came to WWE, he's a beast. You look at the guy and automatically you're like, here's a guy that could kick someone's ass. And he could. He put on decent matches and everything. But now you look at him and you kind of like, do you belong in the storyline with Lana and Summer Rae? Do you belong here? Like, it's odd. I'm sorry. I find, for me, Rusev being in that storyline weakens him. I don't see him as the brute force that he was when he initially came in this, and I cannot see him elevating himself to the unbeatable Rusev that he was before. I hope I do. I really do hope I do. I do want the Rusev where he's threatening to rip my arm off and suck out my blood and pretty much crush my heart with his bare hands. I would like to see that Rusev come back, but instead now we get Rusev that gives you cold dead fish and cold and a puppy that obviously appears to already be Summer Rae's, from my understanding. But it was really odd. It's really odd seeing him in that position because he doesn't belong in that position. He has a lot more going for him. Even when he was fighting Cesaro and Kevin Owens, the guy was able to actually put on a pretty good match and be able to stick with these guys too during that match. And no matter what, I think Rusev does have a great history, or great future with WWE, but he needs to be swayed out from this feud, because this feud in itself is not good. It's not going to go far. It's just going to lead to Lana versus Summer Rae, and frankly, I could give two shits about that. I really can't. Like, I don't care. It baffles me how much I just don't care, because I don't care. And I guarantee some people out there are like, no, dude, that's going to be the best thing ever. But for me, I'm like, I don't care. That's just how it is. At Clifton Rose asked, "What's my reaction to Hulk Hogan getting fired?" Well, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, if you didn't catch it, that's fine. For being an iconic figure, like I said, if you're gonna get fired from the WWE, it's more only because the stuff that you say is very controversial. WWE is a very international company. They don't want to have their logo on you if that's the case of what happened. And because this is a whole issue with the sex tape and the whole issue with a lot of racial slurs, and now, from my understanding, anti-homophobic slurs, it's very it's understandable from their part of what they did. Going completely crazy and taking them off every single thing that they had is a little overboard in my opinion. But you know what? It's what they want to do. It's the Hogan brand. And in a way, they also own the Hogan brand, so they have a right to take it off or no. But it's a little overboard. I understand him getting fired. Okay. That is completely understandable based on WWE. But other than that, they went a little overboard to completely take him off every single thing that they own. No more videos of Hogan. No more of this of Hogan. No more WWE films of Hogan. No more nothing of Hogan. Hogan is nothing but dust to our wind. I don't even know what that makes sense. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. But anyways, thank you for listening, Clifton Rose. I do appreciate that. Remember, you guys can check or send me any questions with hashtag MOCLive26, because this is the 26th episode. The first episode on my new YouTube page, Mind of Carnage. And it's the first of everything. And that's always just so beautiful. And if it's not, then whatever. It's on my fucking first YouTube page or YouTube video. Oh wow, I'm not making any sense. The tiredness is really sinking in now, and it's really annoying because coming home, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this on my podcast. I have energy for it, and then when I get in, I lay down on my couch and I'm like, I'm so fucking tired. I don't want to do this anymore. But no, that's not true. I'm not going to give you guys. I'm not going to give you guys a show. I'm going to give you guys a show if I can. So, but the only issue is I'm just not going to be as energetic as I usually am on my shows, because sometimes I can go pretty ballistic on my shows. Sometimes I can go a little crazy. Though I know I've always told people that my brain is not always here. I'm pretty crazy sometimes. I'm a psychopath. I'm a psychopath when it comes to this podcast, or let alone any podcast, because I'm just a psychopath. But speaking about psychopaths, let's talk about Bray and Harper. Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, obviously a faction of the Wyatt family that we never really wanted to split in the first place, because it made no sense to split the Wyatts in the first place. You had Harper, you had Rowan, you had Bray Wyatt. You had a tag team division right there, and then you had Bray Wyatt that could start in the mid-card and work his way up to the top series. The faction worked. If you wanted to add a fourth member, then fine. There is your tag team, there's your mid, there's your top. Evolution for the current day and age, but a very fucked up evolution. They could have done a lot with them, but what they decided to do is they split Harper and Rowan. Okay, kind of odd split, but that's fine. And then you had Bray, who kept his standard gimmick, standard music, standard imagery of everything. And you had Harper and Eric Rowan, where if you didn't realize these guys were together previously, you look at them and you're like, well, those guys are very similar to him. Why don't they just pair them up? And there's the mindfuck for you. They were paired up, but they got split up. Very similar styles of entrances, very similar styles of appearances, but nothing happened with Rowan and Harper. everything was focused on Bray Wyatt, and that's fine. Bray Wyatt was the man to focus on. But I'm thankful now that Harper is now back with Bray Wyatt. I don't know if Rowan's going to be back when he comes back from injury, but hopefully he is, or no, or they're going to use him to somehow try to take Harper out of the Wyatt family. We don't know. But for right now, as it stands, Harper is back. And on Raw, pretty much saying that, what was it? I loved Bray Wyatt's promo on Raw, pretty much addressing the children and telling them that their families have, or their parents, mummies and daddies have been lying to them. I loved it because you don't really ever see in a PG-rated show or a PG-rated audience that the guy is now telling the children directly that their family, their moms, their dads are lying to them, telling them that this whole world is safe when in all reality it's not. And it's a mind fuck for you because you never really have had anyone address the children, but telling them that they're supposedly others that they're supposed to trust are lying to them. It's really screwy. And I guarantee a lot of family was like, don't listen to the guy. Don't listen. He's the bad man. He is the bad man. And I'm pretty sure kids are like, no, he's scaring me. And you got to look at that. And you got to think to yourself, man, this promo is working. This guy who's able to deliver this great promo is actually working very well against the parents, the families, the actual supporters of everyone else that's in the ring. But Bray Wyatt, I loved the message that he was getting across. And that's the one thing that he's trying to say is that he let Harper and Rowan go, or referencing them as dogs. I'm going to put it that way because he was referencing a dog, saying that how he let a dog go. And the next day he came back with scars on his face and pretty much learned that, no, the world is a very dangerous place, and never left Bray Wyatt's side again. I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, he's obviously referencing or trying to compare this dog to Harper and Wyatt. No, or Harper and Rowan, but Rowan's not there, so it's just Harper. So, and then Harper obviously was, because we saw how he was when he went to his singles run, and he won the IC championship very temporarily over Ziggler because of the whole Authority versus the Cena team, and from there, we got nothing. We got nothing else from him. He had a couple of matches, couple of feuds, but nothing really solidified him as a true singles competitor. It was pretty much, here he is, here's a single run, we're going to give him some opportunities, we're not going to give him everything. Then they pinned Rowan and Harper back together and they started going for the tag team championships, and then from there nothing else happened. So it's really weird to see how they've gone back on what they've done before. It's pretty much a waste of time. I understand they're trying to give him a singles push, just trying to give him a singles run to see what he can do, because he's a big guy. He's a big guy that's very athletic, and he's able to go into that ring and he's able to deliver a great match. I like Harper. I have no problem against Harper. He has great matches whenever he has a match. But as a singles competitor, I don't see him as strong enough to be a singles competitor at this point in time. The benefit about Bray, you got to look at all these stables. These stables have been together for a long period of time. They've been able to build separate individual characters. Evolution was a perfect example of that. They were the reasonings behind building Batista and Randy Orton. Randy Orton still competing today, one of the bigger talents out there. And Batista, well, we know what happened. Batista, he came back, got ridiculed beyond belief, and went back to acting. So that's good on him. So we thought, you got to think of the Wyatts as being somebody that can build someone, and keeping Harper and Rowan with the Wyatt or Bray Wyatt, it can help build them. So going back on the word and now bringing Harper back with Wyatt, I'm like getting confused. Harper back with the Wyatt. Harper with Bray Wyatt, you got to look at it now as being the one opportunity that WWE is giving to Bray Wyatt to be able to actually elevate these guys, because it's exactly what you need to do, is you need to elevate them into something better. But questions rise. Are we going to have a third member coming into the equation? And there's people have been saying that, okay, well, third member can either be Dean Ambrose, third member can either be whatever, Baron Corbin, or anyone in the locker room. But one surprise was a little bit, is Adam Rose is actually teasing going back to his, what was it, Luke Kruger? Something Kruger character that he had back in NXT before Adam Rose. To be honest with you, one of the first times I ever saw NXT, I saw him. I saw Luke Kruger or something Kruger. I can't remember the fucking first name. I think it was Lou or something like that. But I saw him, and the thing that I remember was just his facial expression. And the thing about it is that the facial expression in general, it's what reminded me of of Adam Rose. It's one of those things that's always been just envisioned in my mind because he has a good creepy face, and that creepy face is what worked for Leo Kruger or Leo. I don't fucking know. I can't pronounce his name. I'm horrible with names. I've always said that I'm horrible with names. I'm calling him Leo. Okay, he's Leo Kruger. But his face is what really got me attracted to the NXT because I'm like, that guy looks pretty fucking crazy. It's like, is that guy championship material? The next thing I find out is that they got rid of his character after Sami Zayn fight, and then he came out as Adam Rose, and I'm like, wow, this guy just died. This guy just fucking died. But if they are actually teasing a Luke Kruger return, I'm all for it because I liked that look. I like the Luke Kruger look to him. And I think that he can be a creepy, screwy character with the mind, but WWE just has to be able to actually take him from Adam Rose, the acid party bus that he was always on with his fellow Rosebuds, which I guarantee were all on acid, and flip him to the Luke Kruger character again and make him that creep character to join the Wyatts. And that'll be a perfect combination. That'll be a perfect kind of integration because I don't mind seeing a change in him. I always see that there's always a possibility for any character in the WWE if they're able to actually take a character shift and run with it. If he's able to transport back to his old style of character and run with it, because the Adam Rose character, as we all know, is pretty much done. There's nothing to that character that's really going to keep us wanting to see more because, frankly, I don't want to see more. I don't need to see more of Adam Rose. And frankly, even when we do see more of Adam Rose, he's just making out with Rosa Mendez. And frankly, we're like, God, please, just shoot me. Just shoot me. So for right now, if they decide to go with that route, I'm all for it. If they decide to turn Dean Ambrose and pin him against Roman Reigns, I'm all for that too because you gotta do something with this whole lunatic fringe gimmick. Yes, he's a guy that likes getting beaten to death and then always gets back on his feet. You can't really identify that as being crazy because he's not really technically being beaten to death. He's just being beaten heavily, just as every other superstar there is in the backstage there, and gets back to their feet. How is that lunatic fringe? By pinning him with Bray Wyatt, I think that he can start developing that crazy ultra attitude because then you have a guy, Bray Wyatt, who can drive the crazy kind of mind screwy character and can change Dean Ambrose to be that lunatic fringe that we've always been looking for. Whether that's going to happen or not, it's unknown. It's unknown. That's how everything with WWE is now. It's unknown. But it's a first for fucking everything. I'm amazed no superstar came out of the ring and started pissing in the apron. I'd be like, fuck, that's a first for everything right there. Just piss on the apron. Doesn't even matter what the hell you do. Just piss on the fucking apron. Because that is quality TV and best for business. Though children would be terrified. Children would be terrified. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't more stars just pissing on the apron? I'd pay money for that. No, not really. I wouldn't pay money for that at all. That's a filthy lie. What else? Oh yeah, the Rollins versus Cena match for the U.S. Open Challenge. Initially Cena wanted the WWE Championship match to prove or to have Rollins prove that he is the man. That didn't happen though. But what happened was the U.S. Open Challenge, and we got both Cena and Rollins, which was a good match. They delivered. Not only did they deliver, but Rollins was also able to deliver a great knee to the face, breaking John Cena's nose and giving him something septum or fractured nasal cavity. There it is. Whew, man, was that break bad. The moment that he landed and the moment that Cena just landed the move, you could tell something's not right here. And then when he got up and you just saw the blood trickling down his face, you're like, ooh, he got a broken nose. But it wasn't even the fact that he got a broken nose. It's the fact of how far to the side his nose was. You're like, Jesus Christ, that's gonna be a bitch to put back together. He may not be a beautiful man as he always was, or he may not be a deformed gorilla face. I don't know. But damn, I got to give props where props are due, man. Even after that, Cena continued the match for a good 5-6 minutes following. And it just shows you that the guy itself, he knows when, even though he's injured, he's still going to fight because it's a match. It's what these people paid to see. These people want to see. So there's no reason for me to all of a sudden just stop the match because I'm in pain. You got to give him credit for that because it was a bad broken nose. You guys can see pictures on it on www.mindofcarnage.com. Hell, if you even want to go to wwe.com, you can find pictures of it there. There's plenty of them. And oh wait, you know what I love about this, that what WWE does, is that the way that they censor their photos, because if there is blood, you cannot show it in color. You cannot. It's a black and white picture because heaven forbids you show blood in the picture. Heaven forbids, because if you do, Vince McMahon's going to hunt you down, take your skin, and suck out your blood. See, that's where Rusev got it, and then Vince McMahon's like, no, I like that idea. I want that idea. You're gonna go with Summer Rae. You're gonna be a little fruit. You're gonna be a fruit. And then Vince McMahon's like, I'm gonna rip your skin off and suck your blood out. But a little bit more sadistic because it is Vince McMahon, and the man lives on being sadistic and crazy and evil. Hey, it's Vince McMahon for you. What can I say? But yeah, it was a bad knee, and you could tell too that Rollins was like, "Oh shit, oh shit." But yeah, it. You looked at him, and then you're like, "Oh," because the way that his nose was angled too, it didn't even look like it was just fully broken. It looked like one part had snapped. So it was like, "Oh," it was uncomfortable to watch. But it's for the funny thing is though, is that when you see something like that and you see them fight, you get a different just different opinion on the character because you can see his true character coming out right there. The guy will not stop, even with a broken nose or a fractured nasal cavity. Oh, I don't even know if that's a fancy word for broken nose. I'm pretty sure it is, and I don't know because I'm not with the medical terms of today. I guarantee my wife and our family friend is, which my family friend's sleeping on the couch right now, but still doesn't matter. But yeah, it was just something to see. It was interesting to see. And if you guys didn't see it, make sure to go to www.mindofcarnage.com and look at the highlights. Look at the highlights, and you'll see that knee just slowly impact the face of Cena. You know, a lot of times, a lot of us thought, hey, you know what? I want to punch Cena, or I want to knee him in the face just because I don't like him. That's how we feel sometimes with a lot of heel characters that we don't like. We just sometimes want to either slap him around or knee him in the face to see what will happen. And now we've seen what will happen, and it'll be a really bad bloody nose. But it's amazing to see how the medics really, or the ringside medics really quickly attend to them. I remember back in the Attitude Era, dude, you got busted up in the ring. They were like, so what? Suck it up. Finish the match. But now it's more along the lines of there's any inch of blood, they have to be in that ring to see how you're doing. Because I know WWE is really trying to go against all these lawsuits they've been getting for concussions and stuff like that. And they have free will to protect themselves, obviously. But sometimes you just look at it and you're like, you're going a little too far, guys. Like it's a bloody nose or it's a broken nose, and now you're just like running in the ring with towels to douse the guy's face. It's like, holy shit, relax. He's not dying. Like it's a broken nose. If he dies from a broken nose, then he shouldn't be in wrestling. Though, you know, there can be some sensitive people like that, and a broken nose or the pain from a broken nose can make them black out. And heaven forbids you had seen a blackout and then Rollins pin for the 3 count. Then you're like, oh, what do we do? Speaking about what do we do, what do we do with the Intercontinental Championship? You got to look at the IC title now, and you got to just think to yourself, what's happening with it? Ryback wasn't on Raw, okay? Neither was Roman Reigns. I don't know where the hell Roman Reigns was. I don't know if he was doing publicity. I don't know what the hell he was doing. But Ryback wasn't on Raw, and immediately you think to yourself, like, man, this IC title has to be cursed, or this IC title, something's up with it, because every time it gets into someone's hands, something happens to that competitor. Okay, well, Ryback had a staph infection. Will he be back? Can he be back to do some type of appearances to actually keep that IC title relevant? It's unknown. And I thought last night would have been a perfect time that he can come back and either get into Miz's face, not really compete or do anything, but just something that actually gets us to remind us, hey, look, that's a championship. I forgot about that championship. Now I know about that championship again. Just something to keep us going and thinking to ourselves, okay, so this is obviously building to something, because now the issue that we have here is that now that we're getting closer to SummerSlam, depending on how Ryback feels, when he's going to return, it's really hard to start building a storyline now with Ryback, unless he comes back and he does a storyline again with Miz and Big Show. And frankly, I want to blow my brain out because those are 3 guys I frankly don't even need to see in a fucking feud. It angers me. It boils my blood. It boils it. It boils it to a point that I just want to spit it out. No, it's kind of disgusting. So let's not do that. But you know, now you kind of just need to. You kind of think about it. And you're like, really, Will Ryback be able to elevate the storyline to a point of, oh my god, I need to watch this at SummerSlam, or will it just be a kickoff match? Because to tell you the truth, by the looks of it now, if there is going to be a championship match for the IC title, it's going to be a kickoff match. And if he's not able to compete within the 30-day span, why is the title not being dropped? Because as I recall a long time ago, there was always a 30-day defending clause in a champion's contract. You always had to defend that title within 30 days period. Will Ryback be out for 30 days? Don't know. Will he give up the title? Don't know. But I do agree with Miz said. Is like, listen, if Ryback should just give up the title. Daniel Bryan did the honorable thing, couldn't compete, gave up the title. Why doesn't Ryback do the same thing? I'm all for that, because to be honest with you, I was never big with Ryback as being the IC champion. Some people were. Some people like Ryback. I'm not the biggest fan of him. His promos just seem too pushed, too forced, and I can't really get behind a character that's very, I'm not going to say limited in the ring, but not very entertaining or enthralling in the ring. Miz is one thing. Miz has that heel face, the heel promo, the heel voice. Everything about him is heel, and it can work and help the title. And I think that he carrying the IC championship would validate it a little bit more. But just Ryback, I don't know. But at this point, it comes to question, be like, do you want to hold that IC championship? Because apparently, whenever you do, something will happen to you. So what's going to happen with that? I have no clue at all. The one thing on Raw that had me in tears, and I guarantee a lot of other people too on Twitter, because everyone loved this thing and everyone wanted a gif of it, was New Day. New Day came down to the ring in just the most awesome fashion, just skipping in the ring, and Kofi just had this one clap, but it was so exaggerated that you're like, oh my god, this guy's like doing a ballerina dance right now coming out to the ring. Then you had Big E to the left of him doing a crazy hand like thing, like skipping, and then you had Xavier Woods, who was also skipping, but he wasn't as charismatic. It was just more along the lines of Big E and Kofi, and it was amazing. They were holding above Kofi a sign that said, what was it, the real Mega Dad of the Year, pretty much trying to mock Titus O'Neil, because he actually did win the Mega Dad of the Year award, because of everything that he's done as a father and as a supporter, and pretty much just sharing the message of be a father. It's a very proud thing. I'm not a father, so I don't know. Sorry, Titus. But yeah, it was just it's New Day. I'm sorry. I watch Xavier Woods' Up Down Down channel on YouTube. It's a gaming channel, but hey, I'm a gamer because I have my other YouTube account, Carnage. Make sure to follow me there. This is where it was usually the place where I was posting my other MOCPodcast, but now I have this new one, so everything's gonna go on here now. But yeah, it was just watching the Up Down Down, you really see the true personalities come out of these guys. Same thing with Swerved on the WWE Network. You see the true personalities coming out of these guys, and it's good to see that, because it really relates them to just normal people, because you're like, oh, fuck, you are fucking hilarious. And then you can't see it on WWE because they give them either matches that don't have them talking, don't have them winning. It's just a squash match and nothing more. And you can't really get behind these guys because you're like, oh, if WB sees no benefit in you, why should I? But then you see these videos that it's out of context, out of WWE, out of storyline, and you're just like, wow, this guy's fucking hilarious. Like, even like watching Rusev on Up Down Down, it was just different. It was a different Rusev, and I'm like, this guy's actually pretty fucking funny. It's actually pretty awesome, and it's just a different character that you see him in, and it's kind of hard to look at him back at WWE and look at him and be like, yeah, now you got to shift to this negative character, this evil character. But in all reality, I know you're a funny ass fucking guy, or you're a great guy. So it's kind of like, it's just kind of funny how that works. But yeah, honestly, guys, I think I may cut this short. I'm fucking exhausted, and it's so hard. It's so hard to keep a continuous thought going in my head right now, and I don't even know why. I've had coffee. I've had caffeine. Why is this not working? Is it because it's fucking 33 fucking degrees outside and it's sticky as fuck? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the reason why. Because it's fucking 33 degrees outside, and even hotter because it's fucking humid and it's sticky as fuck. It's horrible, and I hate the heat. It's bad when you're driving and you have the windows open and the wind that's blowing in is fucking hot, and you're like, oh my god, this is gross. This is not refreshing in any way, shape, or form. Oh, I'd rather have like dusty filled AC slap my face continuously than the hot air that's outside. And by the way, I hate AC in the car, not in the home, in the car. I always get sick off the AC in the car, and I don't know why. It's something I can taste, not taste, but I can smell the difference. And when you smell it, you're like, huh, oh, I'm getting a headache now. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, though, if you guys want to follow the latest news, recaps, information on wrestling world, please feel free to follow www.mindofcarnage.com. It is my website. It is my blog. It is my news source, to be honest with you. I've been having it for a year and something, and frankly, make sure to join MOC Legion. It's a good 2,000 members, actually 2,200 members strong now. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very grateful for my followers and my war gods out there, and I want to thank you guys for that. So make sure to follow on there. Make sure to also follow me on Twitter at MindofCarnage, and make sure to follow our Levels of Wrestling family as well. We're just a place where we want to give you as many podcasts as we want, many podcasters as we want, and just to kind of give you a great place to listen to wrestling and just great talk. Like I said, I would have been a little bit more out there and charismatic today, but just because I'm just so tired right now, it's affecting me, and I do not like it. I do not like it at all. No. Remember to check out Levels of Wrestling. You can find them at Leveler LOW, Leveler Low. Then you can find our Just Saying Girls, Just Saying A_S. These are all on Twitter, by the way. And then you have the Rambling About Wrestling, and then you have the Wrestle Addicts. And make sure to follow those guys on Twitter. Great guys, great podcasters. And we also have the merchandise store. Remember to check that out too at tpublic.com/user/Kid Carnage or Levels of Wrestling or Wrestle Addict, or the Wrestle Addict. There's so much plugging I got to do. It's just ridiculous. You know what? I'm just going to put a plug in that. Fuck that shit. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Fuck that shit. I plugged enough. I fucking plugged enough. Make sure actually to search or check out the Levels of Wrestling guys on Podbean, just because they do have an interview up there with Bram. Make sure to check that out. It was a big interview. It's pretty cool. They also had one with Gunner, so make sure to check that out as well. And yeah, I think I'm done. I don't even know what else to say. I hate to end it this way, but I really can't. You know what? This is going to be a first that I ended like this. This is going to be a first. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for interacting. Thank you again, Clifton Rose, for your question. Make sure to send any questions at MOC Live, and it'll be a number sign for whatever podcast I'm doing. This one was 26, so I want to thank you guys for that. And I will see you next time. Bye.